All right, so it is time. This is the Infinite Investment Game. I talk about alternative investments and collectibles. This is not particular investment advice, but hopefully you can take this to become a better collector. And hopefully, if you are investing or flipping, you can avoid a lot of pitfalls, the newbies that commonly make it. All right, so before I go on, please like, comment, and subscribe. And today I want to talk about shill bidding. And there's a couple things about shill bidding a lot of people don't know. So the first thing is shill bidding is perfectly legal because there's no regulation in the market. And honestly, in sports cards, shill bidding is unfortunately encouraged, especially among people who, in the community of people who have the same card that's going up for auction. And what I mean by shill bidding is there's different kinds. A lot of times people shill bid, meaning they place a bunch of bids on an item for the item to sell at a higher price, but they don't really have much of an intention or motivation of actually owning that particular card that they're bidding on. It's just to keep the price higher, and it's basically kind of manipulating how people see supply and demand, because people see, oh, a bunch of people are bidding on this item, so it must be valuable. And a lot of times a person gets in a bidding war with someone else trying to win the auction because they want it, and it becomes more of a competition of like they have to win, so they bid up a higher price than usual, and it causes the item to sell for a higher price. So example would be maybe a LeBron James Topps Chrome PSA 10. I'll only be willing to pay $5,000 for it, and that'll be my bid, and I'm not going to go up higher than that. But you're not being contested, but then someone else will start bidding on it and I'll bid you, and you're like, I really want that card. And then you get more focused on trying to win, and maybe you end up bidding 7 or 8,000 and it sells for a higher price. And there are a lot of cards that have been shill bidded. This happened in soccer for 2014 Panini Prism. People didn't realize that was a flip, and they know now. There's some parallels that are still worth money, but the base stuff has severely dropped in price, even as you come closer and closer to the World Cup. That 2014 Prism stuff has dropped. Same thing for 2012 Prism stuff. Another one is Patrick Mahomes. His 2017 Panini Prism, technically it would be a silver. That card went all the way up to $2,000, and it should have been going down faster, but people have been shill bidding to prevent that card from selling for lower. I've seen this with Conor McGregor, 2013 Topps Bloodlines. I finally sold the card BJS95, but I tried to sell it on Probstein, and there have been people who've been bidding it up, and the person really didn't buy. And that happens a lot of times too, where maybe the person who's shill bidding ends up bidding the highest price and them winning, and then they don't pay for the item. But on many sites, it still shows that it was sold, which becomes an issue because people are like, oh, wait, it's going to sell for that much. And it just gives people this false sense of what people are willing to pay for that item, and it gives you a false sense of what it's worth. But how this ends, though, is eventually people will start losing interest with someone for most stuff, and you start seeing a decline. So you've been seeing a decline in Patrick Mahomes. I believe his cards are now like $4,600. But at one point, they reached as high as $12,000 for a card. You see the same thing with Topps Chrome LeBron James, reached all the way up to $30,000 or $40,000, and now it sells for around $7,000, and it could decrease in price as well. You have the same thing with, I'm gonna be honest with you, Luka Doncic. His card prices have definitely decreased, and some of these guys, it's just like the decline, or you see other cars going down, and it's like, why is this car staying steady? Or you're trying to, everything's going down severely, and you're trying to buy this card, and people are bidding on it, and for whatever reason, you just keep getting outbidded, and then they keep relisting it. It's like, what's going on? It's like nobody's paying for this thing, which becomes an issue. This happened to me with Akeem Elijah one. Crazy enough, because I had bought one, and I guess I was trying to buy a second one, but I just couldn't win the bid. And then I decided to part ways with, and it kept going up to around $2,000, maybe $3,000 at times, but no one would pay for it. And eventually, I wanted to try to sell mine. This was around the same time, and mine only sold for like 1,300. So it was like, okay, same card, BGS 95. Consistently is probably selling for 2K. And for whatever reason, now it just sold for 1,300. And it's not like it's a surprise. It was like a 10-day auction, and it sold for pretty cheap. So it's like, what's going on? And sometimes you have variability in what auction prices are, but I see it just happening a lot. And also you see the major differences between the BGS 9.5 and the PSA 10, where the PSA 10 got to what, 12,000, over $10,000, but the BGS 9.5 really didn't shoot up that much. And it's like, well, what's going on? Like, why is the PSA 10 so much higher, and you still have a pop count of like over 300 than the BGS 9.5? And I think we see that in Mbappe, his PSA 10s for his 2006 sticker card. They've gone down now, but they're still selling for around $6,000, I believe, $6,000 to $7,000. While his BGS 9.5, even if it's a Gem Mint Plus, probably sells for about $2,000. I've just noticed that where his PSA 10s are getting premiums because a lot of people own PSA 10s, and they're just bidding it up, trying to keep that value high. So some of the differences between BGS and PSA 10 is probably because of shill bidding. Same for SGC, same for CSG. A lot of it probably is because of shill bidding. People are trying to protect that price. I do think PSA 10 should be a little bit higher than 9.5s and all the other grading companies, because there are certain things they can offer with price tracking and things such as that. But I mean, it's even the same with Giannis Antetokounmpo. His car's PSA 10 stayed to about $3,000, even in down markets. But now all of a sudden they're at $1,000, and he's actually accomplished more. A lot of that is just because a lot of these people probably sold off of their cars and they kind of moved on. Or, you know, there's so many that hit the market and they're distracted with other stuff, so they're not really focused as much on shield bidding. Which is fine, I guess, but it just distorts the overall market. And really what happens, how shield bidding kind of gets exposed, is more people talk about it. You start noticing that people with zero feedback, or either putting up auctions, or they are winning auctions at a very high rate. And it's like the same people winning auctions. Or, you know, you see people, you're bidding for an item and you see buy it now listings. Let's say something is $12,000, but you see the current bid has gotten up to $14,000 or $15,000 or even $13,000. It's like, okay, why doesn't make any sense? Why are you going to overpay when you have the same item on eBay for less of the price? And even if you're searching for it, you'll probably find it for a cheaper price. So why are they spending so much money? And that's something that happens too. That's happened to me multiple times where I say, oh, okay, this person is just really crazy about trying to win this. So, all right, I'm going to put a bid in that's twice the amount of whatever. And sure enough, people still try to outbid me or bid it up to a very, very high amount, and it just sits there. And it's like, okay, you bid it all up to $14,000, and you know the cheapest one is $10,000. It's like, what's going on here? At one point, it did trick people, and people bought up the lesser stuff, but I see it less and less. I actually got burned recently with a card, a UFC card, a 2019. I haven't sold it yet, but 2019 Topps Chrome, Israel Adesanya. It's Blue Wave out of 75. I paid $2,000 for it. One, because there's a bid I got outbid it for out of 99 PSA 10, and that sold for $2,000 at auction. I got outbid it. It was like a little bit over, and then somebody just straight up bought out of 99 for $2,000. And recently in an auction, the out of 75, which is a lower serial number for PSA 10, sold for $374. And I'm like, what the freak is going on? You know, and like people, I do want to hold some Israel Adesanya cards long term, but I'm just like, all right, they are trying to make I think his overall is bad for the market because I think it causes people to really get burned. And maybe if those people just leave, they're fine with it. But it caused people to get burned really bad, and then they just leave the hobby and they get into other stuff. That's a serious issue, which it needs to be controlled more. I honestly think the 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan, I know the stickers definitely, because you see large drops, we've kind of forgotten about it. But the Fleer PSA 10 is probably, there's some organic demand, but I think it's probably a little bit shill, because of shill bidding. There's other cards. I mean, it's probably your Juan Soto's, Ronald Acuna, Tatis Jr.'s. Those cards are probably shill bidded as well. And I've seen this with UFC as well, where it's like this demand, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, it's kind of like gone. And I think people are just finding out more and more about this. And I think to protect yourself from shill bidding, don't be in an overrush. And honestly, if you're doing auctions, I just think it's better off to just buy, just to put in your amount at the end of the auction. Don't even place a bid, put a watch list, set an alarm, set up multiple alarms, and then put your money into a card when the auction is ending, you know, a minute before, 30 seconds before, 20 seconds, 15, 10 seconds before. That's better than just like what's going on, just because the UFC hype is a little, it's not accurate. I will just say that. And for a lot of these sports and a lot of these cards, it's just not accurate. But yeah, let me know how you feel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm going to be coming out with more videos.